this the right map for them? They've got to come out and just show us that ability that they've got. We know it's there, and hopefully yesterday was a blip, whatever it was, jet lag, you know, I don't know, whatever. Let's hope that it's done, it's gone, and we get a better performance today. OXG, honestly, they just need to keep walking the same direction they're in, because they've been looking pretty good so far.
Yeah, I think we were all pleasantly surprised by their performance the first day when we cast it. I was like, there were expectations coming in from themselves saying, you know, we battled through LCQC, we're really revved up and ready to go, and I was like, that's all well and good, but I've seen so many teams crumble when they get onto the international stage, but they looked absolutely fab. Two of these bans real quickly though, Tim, both of our shield operators taken away. Monty being left up against SCARZ is an interesting choice by OXG. They do love playing that operator, but also may have plans for it themselves. And a Mozzie final ban is most definitely the interesting ban that I've seen so far at this tournament. We've seen things like a mute ban every now and then, but that's a new one.
Yeah, I mean, there may well be a target element to it. I'm sure you'll dig through your stats in a second.
Oh, yeah.
You'll find it if it's there. But I'm looking at a map like Border. I'm thinking, how much value is Mozzie going to have realistically? What are you usually using Mozzie for? You're using Mozzie to create sort of blackout areas whereby the drones are not going to get in there and you can play in your little bubble of safety without any intel. That's not really going to be the case on Border. If anything, it's not really a big enough map for it, to be honest. There's, you know, I'm not being funny. If you're defending top floor, you're going to be in one of three places. If you've got somebody roaming downstairs, they're probably going to be in one of three places. There's not like a huge job to do where the Mozzie's going to, you know, be able to really create this big safe space. So not too sure. I think maybe there could have been a bit more value to be found.
I'm quite surprised again that they've left it to have the Monty come through. I mentioned earlier on about the propensity of SCARZ to go towards this operator. The Mozzie, most definitely the biggest surprise out of those bans. I can't see any real discernible reason why, unless I've looked back at yesterday and seen a couple of rounds from which it makes sense. However, let's see how things play on. Let's start things off with Oxygen, as mentioned, not banning away that Monty has suggested we might see them play it. Yogg straight onto it here in round one. Got a lot of vertical destruction coming out of Gomez, playing on that Deimos, and on the other side, it's a bit of a mixed bag overall, Tim, but quite dug in by the looks of it, things like the smoke, the castle, and that Goyo.
So with that Mozzie ban, I'm looking, you know, at SCARZ's sort of drone game there. Going to be looking at it on both sides. They've banned Mozzie for themselves, but they've done a great job of taking out those drones. So they're not really going to worry too much about, you know, having created a situation whereby they've got loads of intel raining against them. That's a nice smoke coming up onto the top of East Stairs. And like I say, OXG at the minute, down to 4 drones, getting pushed back from East Stairs. The Monty just being forced away, taking some damage there. Nice smoke again. Doesn't quite get any damage done this time, but I like this from Fish, like that hard hold.
I love this.
There we go. This is way better from SCARZ already with a minute in.
They just knew what was coming from OXG as well, because you had these two players pushing on the balcony to try and get rid of Fishlike. But then downstairs below, and there was 2 players on SCARZ waiting to join in and push onto the player that was trying to backstab him from below. Really good reaction to get rid of Gomez, take that Deimos offline. Brilliant start. They have, however, Tim, lost Rek, who has had a terrible time so far.
I always say the same thing about Border. You don't want to let attackers get established inside of the map, and SCARZ understood the assignment so far. They've gone a minute and a half, and OXG are yet to step foot inside of the building properly. The one who has is dead. Otherwise, they're still moving around. They're not inside a CCTV. They're not comfortably pushing into Armory. They are being held at bay. Nearly 2 minutes in, they can start progressing forward a little bit into Armory, but look at how low health Yogg is because of Fishlike's work on the smoke. Needs to be very careful, but a big double from Hat-Newers might just open things up a little bit for OXG.
And they've got 2 through the soft wall here as well, despite SCARZ being the ones arguably with the advantage. Hat, well, he's really donning it here. Tim is looking like a trilby. He's absolutely flying Newers with the close. And although I like the start of that round from SCARZ, even with getting rid of the Monty with the C4, Oxygen just had it all put together when it was needed most.
And I think that's what you're seeing there is the problem that SCARZ are going to face. And if you're, you know, basically what I said at the beginning of round 1, first game they're playing is against themselves. They need to bring their best. I feel like they did play much better in that round. Border's a map that they like. They had a good understanding a lot of the time. We saw Border the other day, and I was complaining that the team had basically allowed East Stairs to be taken for free over and over again. They hadn't hadn't put anybody out there, and they just kept going in there. It might have been W7M. Just kept walking in there, taking all that ground, sweeping across the top floor, and it was where they were getting themselves established. SCARZ had a great understanding of that. Fishlight was out there. He was doing a good job. He forced the Monty away. Yoga had to rethink. They had to go elsewhere. But that is where we flip across to talk about OXG. They adapted fantastically. They wanted East Airs. Make no mistake. They couldn't get it, and they lost the body trying. But they went to plan B. They moved and went direct into Armory. New was on a little backstab, and they got the job done. Really nice attack from OXG, and that moves on to the new problem for SCARZ. First game is against themselves and delivering their best, which I feel like they were at least closer to in that round. The next thing is, can they still beat OXG? That might suggest that that's going to be a difficulty.
For sure. Give it a few more rounds to see how things pan out from here, though. It's been a good start for Hat, absolutely. SCARZ now taking things down to Vents and Workshop with the mirror set up on side in small office. Quite an interesting one. Don't see that all too often. You will see upstairs defenses coming in, but I wouldn't say quite committing this much utility up there, but they really are throwing the kitchen sink at it to try and impede OXG.
Diaz this time rapidly taking East Stairs here, not wanting to allow anybody like Fishlight to be getting out there and preventing them going in. They don't have the Monty to play in behind this time, but Yoga is already inside of CCTV as well. So I talk about this, keep the attackers out of the building. They haven't done it. 40 seconds in, OXG are established. They've got East Stairs, they've got Office locked down, two very important locations, and now they can go back to the drones, they can go back to looking at what's on site, and the next step is going to be softening things up. Try and get a pick or two and try and clear some utility. And there we go. The utility starts to be cleared.
Cleared away in the sense it's destroyed and can't be used, but it doesn't really do much to actually move their progress through the map. Of course, the wall's still fully reinforced. Fountain, therefore, is in control of SCARZ. And I think for Oxford, it's more a case of sniffing out exactly what's going on here and what it is they need to be dealing with. They've got these two mirror windows that I mentioned that need to be cleared away. Well, half a round in, and SCARZ haven't largely moved away yet. Still a couple of players playing on the upstairs. In fact, I think it's 3 overall. So a good hold that is causing a couple of issues initially for Oxygen. I do think they'll crack it at the end, and we'll see how many players walk away alive. Yog can't miss that shot.
OXG are aware that Tayo is underneath now because he was picked up on a Deimos scan, so they will be monitoring the staircases, no doubt. But like you say, they just kind of trying to brute force their way in towards Fountain here, and it's not working. Fishlight manages to pick up a double. Where's the adaptation that we saw in round 1? OXG continuing to bang their head against it. They finally manage to get him cleared out. Hat with the kill. The question is, too much damage being done already. 50 seconds left to go. Tayo is the only one on site at the minute. He's going to be taken down, but OXG, they're going to have to get these others above before they can look at site.
There's still 2 players here, one inside of Archives that I don't think they know about. I'm pretty sure they're aware of Nina, dug inside small office with the mirror that they saw earlier on. Unless they can get through here and pull off like a really cheeky plant in the corner away from the vertical prying eyes of SCARZ, they have to go through this top floor. Maybe they get away with it, but they're going to know they're on the way now. They've sent it on the bulletproof too. It's a really good setup coming out of SCARZ, and like I said earlier, it feels like Oxygen are struggling a little bit to work their way through.
Yeah, Rex dropped his way back down to site, so there is somebody there at least to kind of fight them laterally, but Hat starts putting the diffuser down, and this is the problem. You haven't cleared the top floor. Can they find the angles? Yes, they can. Nina and Reg punish OXG. That is a good hold from SCARZ there, and OXG ultimately could not get them cleared out of particularly Fountain and Archives, and they have paid the price. They left Nina up there alive, and Nina got a big double to close out the round.
Nina had all the freedom in the world in Archives, is the key thing to stress. He was constantly looking onto the balcony, expecting to get pushed, but no one ever came, so he had the freedom. And I did think to myself, he's got this freedom here. He could really do a bit of work in supporting Fishlight by stepping out. Did sort of leave his teammate dead to rights, but for Fishlight, you can't complain too much. He's got a 2K holding onto Fountain, a brilliant spot to be in. Tayo, I think, with a bit of a misstep here when he was caught out for free on the vertical, but outside of that, it was beautiful stuff.
There we go, just a great cut. So, seeing it back there on the replays, what we've got is a little bit of missed timing. Newers is just a little bit late there. He needs to get in and get that challenge sooner because obviously Nina has time to get one, readjust, relocate, get two. So Newers, it's unfortunate. It's not a criticism, it happens. He's just a couple of seconds, not even that to be honest, maybe a second behind where he needs to be. If he's a little bit ahead of himself there, he gets the kill onto Nina and OXG probably take the round. But Nina, no panic in him. Done fantastically well there to focus on the planter first. He knows that Rek's still inside. So his ultimate goal there is stop that plant going down. If I lose my life to the challenge from Newers, it's not the end of the world because he's upstairs. He can't grab that diffuser and put it down. Rek is still on site and can then play it from there to try and close it out. So a nice round from SCARZ. Good understanding between Rek and Nina.
Yeah, really enjoyed that. Showing again that there's more to come, but the key thing I want to touch about actually happened after the round. Energy.
Yeah.
Think about our main
they
comment
look
yesterday.
well more up for it. They just look happier. They just look more involved.
Yesterday, our comments were they look a little bit flat. There wasn't really much communication going on, and we were like, that's not the SCARZ that we know. It is looking much, much better. Fishlight once again playing this really aggressive position on towards the balcony. And Yogg, for the second time now, has lost about a third of his HP because he's pressed right up against the door and knows that if he doesn't back away, he might get pushed. A C4 can come through, a second smoke will trap him in. All kinds of things that lead to his demise. He's got no choice but to back through it and take all that extra damage. And now this time round, they've got him below. And Hat's got, I tell you what, he's on for a start here, Tim. 2 3Ks across the first two. A double kill to start out this round. What on earth is going on with him today?
Yeah, that's really big from Hat. Going in and getting the double from Passport because what it's done is it's forced SCARZ to relocate now. They're not able to hold on to East stairs. Yogg has been able to move in there. Newers finds Rek as well. It's starting to fall apart here potentially for SCARZ. That's a nice angle that Washoy is using to try and challenge onto the Monty. But we see the pressure mounting now. The track comes out. He's going to have to get aggressive onto the window, but there's no doubt intel coming from the Deimos. Newers will be saying he's going to push your window, so he's ready for the challenge. The plant goes down. OXG almost certainly locked this one down. It's up to Nina.
100%. I don't think he'll find the man that he's looking for here, even with the ping coming on through. And I spoke about being the last man left alive when there's a Deimos still up on the other side. He is going to be dead to rights here. Newers is hunting him down, also getting flanked by Hat, who takes himself up to, what, 9 kills now across 3 rounds. What a start he's having. I think, honestly, off the back of Hat's 2K there, that's what won it. And look back to it the previous time. I was praising SCARZ back in round 1 because they had support coming in below to make sure that that backstab onto Fishlight couldn't happen. But by changing where the player was coming from, not inside of Archives, but this time round coming in from Passport, Hat has just completely upended them there, and they've paid the price.
Yeah, it's a tough one for SCARZ, really. It's not a huge mistake on their part. Hat walks in and gets a double. And unfortunately for them, the round falls apart from there. Again, the start of the round I thought was pretty good from SCARZ. They had Fishlight on East stairs, stopped the Monty. They had a Banshee there to support as well. It was a nice setup, but ultimately just undone by that double underneath that meant that they had to relocate. They had to try and adjust, and they were punished as they tried to do so. So great round from Hat and great round from OXG. Sees us move into round 4. Going to be back up to the top floor. So what did we see last time on the attack from OXG? It was an initial attempt, like the last round, to try and get into East stairs. Fishlight was able to hold them back fantastically well. I imagine they will try to do the same again. I'm not sure they're going to see the same approach here. Yogg is not on the Monty, so I think they're kind of just giving up on getting into East stairs and taking control of that here, OXG. Last time, oh no, Yogg has switched across, so maybe they will give it another go, but last time they ended up just going direct into Armory, walking in, taking a couple of gunfights while Newers came in for a backstab through Archives door. It worked fantastically well. So SCARZ, they need to learn from that, not to get too sort of laser focused on the one point of pressure that they can see, because there might be another one coming from somewhere else.
Nice and SCARZ to be the ones to adapt more, anything is the point I'll make. It feels like Oxygen have sort of figured them out across those first 3 rounds. The last thing going to be staring down, I think, is a 5-1 half to get things cooking here in the first map of the series. The reminder being that it is SCARZ's map pick. They thought they saw something yesterday from Oxygen's game. They were like, cool, we can take this away. We can work with that. We can get some ideas and solutions to bring them down. But at least with how things have started, all the answers lie with OXG. Again, eyes come on to Yogg as well, playing on the Monty. I spoke about that being left open, probably because they wanted to play it. And so far, we've seen it brought out in a couple of these rounds. At least starts away by the smoke. That's at least a consistent thing across these rounds. Him is constantly having the Monty forced back by the smoke coming out from Fishlike.
Fishlike has had to drop away a little bit more here, and this is good for OXG. He's going to take a bunch of damage as well. They've dealt with that position much better. Diaz has moved his way through underneath like he did previously, got himself up to the top of East Stairs, and he manages to find the kill onto Washoy as well. Yoga can join him now, so OXG, they're able to start building this sort of first choice attack that they wanted to go for in round one, but were beaten back. So let's see how they go from here. Yoga moves in. He's going to try to take control of CCTV. He's got Rek ahead of him, but Rek needs to move quickly. He was in a bit of trouble there. Smart rotation, going out of CCTV, in through Armory to get himself back to site. But it means OXG have pretty much got map control now and can start thinking about site itself.
Gotta be careful here, SCARZ. I mean, this round it was pretty obvious with Washoy looking completely the wrong way, but whether it's a communication issue or just a general positioning awareness issue, they're getting themselves caught out and brought down for free over angles they've already lost, and that hasn't been called to say, watch out from these stairs. You're still challenging in towards break and paying the price. It could yet prove to be the same here. You've got Yog up nice and close, but there are two players on him, will not be able to get away with the plan, but that information going across to his team, Tim, when there's only 3 left alive, is gold dust.
I'm not sure they were initially aware about the player on half wall. When Yog first pushed in, it was like, you're exposing your back there to him, but Tayu didn't take the peek. He ends up dead anyway. 5v1. Yog has put in the diffuser down. We get a beautiful picture of that going on whilst the final kill comes in. Gomez takes down Fishlike, and that was a textbook attack from OXG. I love that.
Good fucking shit. Come on.
I really like that. Diaz clearing out Fishlike, forcing him back from underneath. Yog gets in. That was really, really nice.
It's again more the concern for SCARZ. There's elements of the play that are better, where you're seeing again the sparks of life that we saw after that last time out yesterday. It is a lot better, but they are still getting rolled over here. Again, it's the first half of a best of 3 on the first map. I'll give it a bit of time to really see what comes, but a little bit concerned they're getting shot in the back and things are going wrong. They aren't dealing with the adaptations coming out of OXG. For example, I don't think you're going to see Yoga getting chewed up by Fishlike on a smoke anymore, so it is time to try something a bit different. And in this round, with him stepping away onto a mirror, I think they've acknowledged, okay, then that card has now had its wear and tear. It's out, it's done. Let's try something different.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're going to be downstairs into ventilation again for round 5. 2 more defenses left to go. We saw them win this one last time. It all came down to Nina upstairs. Rek had dropped down to site. Nina able to prevent Hat putting the diffuser down on the ground, and it really left OXG in a bit of a sticky situation. So we'll see whether they play in 4 kind of similar or not. It was a real top floor presence. It was 4 above and 1 below last time around for SCARZ. So as you've just said yourself there, Des, you know, they're just rinsing and repeating a little bit, and OXG are picking up on that, so they maybe need to just do things a little bit differently to how they did them last time. They were very reliant on the mirror to try and keep them in fountain. I don't think that's going to be the case this time. It looks like the positioning is slightly different, so I think we've got a bit of a different setup coming out of SCARZ.
Hopefully so, because they need to get that second elusive round on the board, Tim. I think if they go down 4-1 here, probably a good time to have a conversation about how you can get something out of this half, because I don't care how confident you are in attacking onto border. I think if you're down 5-1, you're not giving yourself any real margin for error, I'm afraid.
I think OXG might be considering just walking into site and trying to plant inside a bit of a wall here. The problem they're going to have is that Tayu is currently playing at half wall. They'll know that now because of the drone there, and he's on the warden, so it's not going to be, you know, really possible to flash him out. But that's really good use of the Thatcher EMP there. But a nade comes out from Fishlike, takes down Hat. Diaz does go in. I was right. He tries to get that diffuser down, but he has to bail as the kill comes in. Washoy, Fishlike, SCARZ have stood up really well to this. There was a plan there from OXG to take the warden out of the game, but SCARZ had the response. They found the kills that they needed, and OXG have had to go back to the drawing board. It's 2 versus 5.
Much more like the SCARZ that we know and love. Getting a bit aggressive, being willing to go for a risky jump out when there could be a claimer on the other side. They've just played the game that we know that they can do. Looking a bit more confident in themselves as well. It's a counter-flawless round potentially about to follow here, unless Diaz can get a kill on side. Hat was silenced very, very early on. Diaz getting at least one to deny the flawless, and gets a second as well, actually, as he puts one more on his backside. A good little bit of KD padding, but I'm afraid that's probably all it's going to be with 3 still left standing.
He obviously won't know necessarily that he is downed the player ahead of him. Washoy is on the ground, but it's not going to take him long to find out. He'll see the blood trail there.
Hello.
He knows that Washoy dropped. He'll take his
Goodbye.
time. He'll have a little reload. and then he'll kill him just as he goes out the side. There we go, thank you, Diaz. 1 versus 3, 50 seconds left to go. Look, 1v5s happen sometimes. It's not to say that it's impossible. He's just going to try and play with the clock a little bit here and see if SCARZ
got two ready for a swing, look.
See if
Nina
they want
together.
to give him the opportunity by sticking their face in a door. I don't think SCARZ are going to do that.
Oh,
yes,
no!
Yes. This has just become massively doable. Fishlike is at the opposite end of workshop. He's pushing forward, but this plant is probably going to go down. Go no! 1v5! Diaz plays it perfectly. They stacked up for him in customs, Des, and he just shot through the pair of them. Unbelievable.
Oh my God.
He is him. Redeemer is not wrong.
SCARZ.
That is bonkers.
SCARZ.
It looked to be going so well, Tim. A counter flawless was building. They'd done everything right with the first minute and 30 seconds of that round. The jump outs were beautiful, the aggression. In fact, the double jump out. They had a second player go back out onto Archive's window again. But from here, it all went wrong. They're down through the Fenrir and this lineup. The thing is,
that is the problem.
I don't blame SCARZ in trying to make a 2 versus 1 happen, but standing lined up, one not crouched, for example, that's the issue.
One of you goes, not both of you. You cannot, that is a lack of communication. You cannot both walk out into that corridor to try and rush to stop that diffuser going down. The first 2 on the top floor is fine. It's 5v1, swing him, see if you can get the kill. It's not a problem. When it comes to 3v1, you got to lock in. You got to change things up a little bit. You got to focus in because we don't want to lose this win. We can't lose this 1v5, right?
No.
Right?
Right?
You've got to, at 3v1, say, no, we just get this nailed down now. And that was a huge mistake.
You'll probably ask the question why Fishlight was in Narnia as well. Like, if they're going to go and push and try and challenge onto the diffuser going down, they need to have Fishlight coming from the other side. But he's, what, 5 to 10 seconds behind the other 2? Big miscommunication there, and I mentioned it in earlier rounds, Tim, that we're not quite seeing that far in the way that it needs to be. It's cost them a round that, by all rights, should have been theirs. It was a 5v1, for God's sake, and they've still let it go. Apparently, the new M&M, a team that we know historically have thrown away a good few man advantages. For SCARZ, well, they'll be kicking themselves about that one. Not that I think it would have massively changed fortunes, but being at 2 to 3 is far better than being at the 1 to 4 they now face themselves in. And for how things have gone, Tim, I think this is going to be a 5-1 half for OXG.
The thing is, we've spoken about that energy for SCARZ as well, and how they've seemed a bit more positive, a bit more confident today. That's the sort of thing that's going to ruin that.
There's still a lot to catch up on, apparently, Tim.
That is, oh, Diaz just carries on. Make it 6 in a row. Absolutely destroys Rek as he puts his head round the side of the mirror. Diaz is unstoppable right now. OXG, just everybody else take your hands and off your keyboard and mouse and just let him go.
He heard Hat was getting a bit of hype and was like, I want some as well. And I think the Redeemer's already given him a fair whack of it. But why not keep on stacking up the kills? It's a good chance to rock through some of that KD ahead of the future days to put yourself at the top end of the leaderboard. SCARZ, as I said, I thought maybe we'd see attack timeout in a bit sooner to try and get something out of this half. You probably back yourself more on the attack, and just at the wrong time, Shoy looks away. A classic Siege timing moment. Will not be rewarded with a kill as a result. And Oxygen now starting to dance around, but not respecting behind him what was going on. Nina gets 1, but Tayo elsewhere has fallen 2. 2 and 6, he now sits at Tim, not having a good start to the game.
No, not at all. 4 versus 3. OXG now with a real opportunity to close this out. Fishlight does take down Gomez to level things up. So, but 3 versus 2 as New as manages to find Nina. And they've got plenty of time here of OXG as well. They don't really need to rush it. A little bit of damage done to... No, I didn't quite catch him, I think, Fishlight on the way past. But Diaz played it perfectly last time, Des. Absolutely ticked every box, hit every nail on the head.
Surely
He's going to have to do the same again. He's had 6 kills in a row without response for him personally. Can he continue and get another 2, making it a 1v2 clutch to follow the 1v5? This would be an unreal play if he can. I think SCARZ have learnt their lesson. They are not going to move their feet here. They are forcing him to come to them, but it might not be enough as he tickles the toes. He can't quite find the kill, but he knows exactly where the man is, taking the chance to hit a little reload. Does he find them? No! Shoy manages to swing and cut him down. No clutch for Diaz this time, but you know what? We'll give him the 1v5 from the previous round. I think his work is done at this point. Absolutely fantastic stuff from OXG over the last few rounds, but SCARZ just managing to lock that one down.
I think asking for Lightning to strike twice would have been crazy. It's funny to think, though, Tim, it could have been that 3-3 half, and that wouldn't have been a bad outcome for SCARZ, given how dominant OXG have looked throughout these rounds. if not for that one that they threw away in catastrophic fashion. Now they switch onto the attack, though. We'll see what they can do on this side of things. Generally, Border being regarded as one of those maps that is easier to attack than it is to defend. It's very gunfight heavy. And those bigger attacking guns with more range on them tends to do a lot more for you. Really, I just think for SCARZ, if you're going to shine at any point, boys, it's got to be now. You've got that Monty available to you. We know that you can pull out some crazy stuff. We've seen it in the Japan League. Let's see what you've got.
Obviously, the shining moment of that first half has to be the 1v5 ace from Diaz. Played it perfectly. You know, every step of the way, gets the first two. Even sticking the diffuser, knowing that Fishlight wasn't going to reach him. He had that confidence that he'd be able to get guns up and take the fight. Absolutely beautiful stuff. And we'll see whether OXG have maybe got some of that similar sort of magic here on the defensive side. It's going to be top floor that they go to begin with. Diaz is bringing along the Ella at the moment. He's setting himself up around half wall. We've got Yoga out in CCTV, and then Newers and Gomez are going to be the ones to play out in office. Hat on the mute is going to return to start. I think he will probably stick around archives, just with the potential of any archives plant, which is I think what we might get here. We've got the Orsa and we've got the Thatcher coming along, which would say you're banging a couple of EMPs, try and prevent any nitros being detonated, and you're planting behind that shield. OXG won't be aware of this just yet, and there's nobody underneath, but Hat does have the hatch open, so may well, quick thinking, get underneath, open that floor up, and be able to prevent this plant. They might need to push a little bit deeper than they expect. Ooh. At the minute, Hat's got himself into a bit of a wobbly position here.
Oh, I like it.
He's not. I like it, but he needs to be careful if part of the plan is to potentially drop that hatch to play from underneath, which I think is what he might consider.
I think he was hoping they'd maybe just look past him a little bit there and wouldn't consider there might be someone tucked in the corner. At this point, you've got the Bs up towards the right-hand side of the grid. You've got everything going down. EMP's coming in, but the thing is, boys, you've got a plant now. Like, now is the time to go. You've used it. The EMPs have been used too soon, so now you're seeing the C4s really come into effect, and it's all been collapsed. But again, Tim, another bit of miscommunication and mistiming from SCARZ has cost them what should really be an elementary take.
Yes. But I am going to say that OXG played that really well.
They did.
They played it perfectly. What we maybe didn't quite see, we've got the luxury of the top down, is that Hat actually stepped himself right back onto the archives door into Fountain. He wanted to stay as far away from those EMPs as he possibly could, and he held that nitro. He held it, and he held it, and he had the confidence to wait for EMP number 1, EMP number 2, and then and only then was it launched, and it was really well played. Hat knew exactly what was going on there. You see it there. That was actually the second one that went over Gomez onto Archive's window. Absolutely beautiful as well. Threaded the needle with that throw. But yeah, really, really good stuff. Simple stuff, but really well done from OXG. You know, once you know that that's the push coming, and they know it because Hat's been able to look out of the door. He's seen the Orsa, so they know what's coming. Then it's, right, we just need to time this right. Wait for those EMPs. Do not let go of your nitros until they've gone off. And they did it brilliantly, so well played, OXG.
All right, 5-2. That gap has now been established up to 3 rounds. It was that, of course, previously at 4-1. But it's been re-established. One more round, they at least guarantee overtime. But Tim, honestly, it feels like OXG should be walking away with the win here. That reminder again, it was SCARZ's map pick. And going into that second one, Bank, an interesting choice because both teams have often banned this away. They don't really like playing on it. So a few surprises there in wait, I'd suspect, for SCARZ from OXG. A new addition to their map pool, given the work they've done in the LCQs over the last couple of months. That's what they can do. You've got Nina running around, though, on the Nook. We've seen some effective nuts and some really terrible nuts so far at this competition, Tim. If you can get into a good spot to make some magic happen, then fantastic, because to be fair for Nina, heralded as probably one of the best players to come out of the Japanese region, but this competition really not been up to it.
No, like I said, I will repeat it. SCARZ, whilst not perfect, there have been mistakes again today. They've been better than they were yesterday, I think.
I agree.
Yes,
but too little, too late is now.
There is still room for improvement. But even being better than yesterday, they are still not up to the level of OXG at the minute, at least. And that is on their map pick, one of their favourite maps. So it's not boding well for them. The Goyo, look at that. Yoga, absolutely beautiful. He gets challenged by the CO shield, so he just dashes out of the door and kills Rek instead. We're sure he manages to get him on the trade, but it's not going to matter because they've lost one of the shields. Newers takes him down, and that leaves time to just be absolutely bullied. But here comes Nina. I got a little bit frustrated with the not play yesterday, but plays it absolutely beautifully there. Might actually just be able to recover the Monty as well. Nina will not be stopped.
I don't want to believe it was a set-piece play there to bait them into pushing the Monty, but Nina just hovering in the corner of the same room. They had no idea he was there, so focused on the Monty. It's a big thing about Shields team. They are an attention soak as well, and often people have the discipline to at least be droning in or finding out what's going on, using intel they've got set around, but the Shield can be a very hot bait, whether it's a Clash or whether it's one of our attacking Shield operators, and there they have been sucked right in and taken down for free. So SCARZ, surely Tim, with the Shield on side, don't lose a 3 versus 1 to Diaz.
I mean, Diaz has already played one clutch situation to absolute perfection, so we certainly know that he's got it in his locker. Nitro takes out Tayu, and what a start it is in this clutch. He's maybe just played it perfectly again. The one big problem that he had was the shield, and he's taken it out.
I'm pretty sure he heard Nina firing his gun off towards bottom of metal as well, so he'll know where Nina's coming from, unless Nina's now gone upstairs, which I think he has. Yes. So now they're both playing for the hatch. Thank God they managed to get this one closed out. That would have been a horrific 1v1 being left to them if Nina, who was still playing catch with the Fishlight there, was like, oh, I'm stuck and I've got no idea where he is. It could have been catastrophic, but SCARZ, they persevere for one more round. Woo!
Honestly, there was a second there where I thought,
me too.
He's going to do this.
When they killed the shield, I actually thought, right, they've chalked this, boys. It's over.
Well,
Nina is in Narnia somewhere. You got Fishlight by himself in office. I thought it was all going to collapse from there.
Like I said, you know, about the 1v5, his decision-making was so good in that 1v5. I just thought once he gets the Monty down, oh, he's potentially going to do this, but no, he decided to have a look up the hatch, and that was his undoing, really. So 5-3, we find ourselves now. OXG still pretty comfortably in the lead. They're going to move on, though. They're not going to go back to the same site. Top floor is still available, but they've decided they're going to head down to Ventilation Workshop instead. I think we will still see quite a heavy top floor presence from them. We will see as the setup develops, and they're certainly heading up that way. Reinforcements going on around Fountain and around Office, so I want to try and hold on to above, much like SCARZ did, really. Yeah. And we'll see whether SCARZ are quite as effective at clearing that top floor or not.
No castle on side, but we do have that bandit to help keep walls locked up. Otherwise, the mirror is available. With Fountain being reinforced off, it does suggest that you're going to see some focus coming in towards this part of the map at the same time. Happed up the first mirror down in the same spot that SCARZ did, and one being kept in back pocket for now. But again, would expect that to go in towards Fountain side. So a very similar setup. Whether it's a nod towards what SCARZ have done and going, yeah, we like that, let's nick that and use it back against them, or it's one they've got pre-prepped. I imagine more towards the latter rather than the former. Looking pretty good. SCARZ the ones who've got to break it down. They do not have a shield on side, Tim, so they are going to struggle just to march forward towards these mirrors, and that's where Rek really on the Ash comes into his own a bit and helps them get these cleared out.
He's already taken a good chunk of damage, though, so they need to be very careful with that, because otherwise it could be a big problem that they won't have much of a solution for. For the time being, OXG are pretty much just locked in their positions. There is 4 of them up on the top floor. We've only got Diaz playing underneath inside a site. SCARZ don't really have any option to push and pressure him at the minute. They need to get this top floor cleared. We saw the power of the top floor with Nina being able to prevent a diffuse plant on site and just locking out the round from up there in Archives. So I'm sure SCARZ will be well aware. It's actually going to be very difficult to clear this mirror. There's a bandit battery been put on it as well by Gomez. That's going to make it even more difficult potentially to get near it and to deal with it. You can see there that the Ash charge gets fired off though and will get the job done.
Spot where for now, SCARZ not too much pushing outside of getting rid of the mirror window. Again, the second Dopey call is about to come online. There it is for Tayu. I spoke about this to the death today, and every other day it feels like as well. Really think, as a lot of other people do, she's the best operator in the game right now. So good for a push forward. Of course, limited here somewhat by the fact there's a mute on the other side. Will block away those calls or turn it off if you step inside the radius. When you hear the call come through, you've got to see them do something. And sure enough, Diaz has been taken down. Fishlight hunting him through, but Hat strikes back. Down goes Rek.
Yeah, the problem that they've got is that they haven't cleared any of top floor out yet. There is still everybody from OXG now up above. They're just going to try and hold on from there. They're obviously confident they've got everything they need. Newers has taken the drop now a couple of seconds ago. He's back in service, so he's on site, but otherwise they will just keep fighting from above. Dockery Cole comes out, and this is the time now, really, for SCARZ to try and make a move. We can see the Maverick just opening up those angles. Beautiful from Oshoy as he moves around, manages to find a kill onto. Hat will continue to push, continue to pressure. He can go back to that hole he's made previously. A couple of bullets come out of it, and I think just discourage him from doing so. Gomez manages to find Tayu to level things up. 3v3. This one really hangs in the balance in the final 20 seconds.
Some good pressure being applied, but SCARZ aren't really gaining the ground. They need all the kills. Unfortunately, Nina now falling by the wayside. Fish-like on his backside, and Mashoy's in a 1v3. Good hold. Gomez inside a bathroom, getting 2 crucial kills to deny any of that ground floor control away from SCARZ.
I think SCARZ just failed to really do enough about top floor, much like they benefited from, essentially. OXG tried to leave a couple of them up there and it didn't work. SCARZ have tried to do the same. After the Maverick dies, gets 1 kill, you know, but can't do any more, and it's difficult from there, really. So we're going to see SCARZ rip the timeout cord at that point and say we need to have a little bit of a break here, just have a chat and see if we can maybe turn the tide, because one more round for OXG and their map pick will be gone.
Quickly bubbling away. They did this yesterday, though, I think, as well. It was sort of one of the previous games where they're taking the timeout when they're at match point, when you've got no room for errors, when you have to get everything right. We spoke yesterday about how some teams after attack timeout will just come hard on the rush and say, cool, they're taking the attack timeout, they've planned something elaborate out here, they've got an idea. This is where SCARZ could try a rush or something a little bit crazy, but equally where OXG themselves could say, cool, double spawn peak sounds like a great idea. Just throw something at SCARZ here to really try and catch them off guards. And I'm just a little bit nervous that this could already be too late to have that attack timeout when there's 3 rounds in a row that the Japanese side need to win.
Yeah, we can see here the damage that was done from the top floor, really. Washoy, like I say, managed to get Hat, but that was about it. And then Gomez just a little bit of free reign there. And ultimately, as they tried to do something, tried to get something moving, it just wasn't going to happen. So, good stuff from OXG. Nice defense there. What I liked about that defense was the flow of players from that top to bottom floor. When Diaz gets taken out, Newers takes a drop. When Newers needs a little bit of support, Gomez drops down. And they were, you know, very, very willing to switch from second floor to first floor as needed to sort of balance that man count and have the manpower where they needed it, when they needed it, and that was really nice.
Gomez, to me especially, the fact that he held on so long upstairs, dropped down, immediately got a kill and cleared out bathroom, I was like, right. He's drawn away a lot of time, a lot of utility, and then also managed to get away and kill 2 players with it. One of those players that I look at on this side, and I said it the other day as well, that very quietly goes about his business, and every now and then pops up with a big 2K like that, that decides the round for the team before it's ever really got going, and just a player that I'm quite enjoying seeing over the last few days, Tim. I said that about a few players. I think like Resets was a good example, though. He's really
I've really enjoyed watching Reset.
He's really cooking, because before he was that quiet player that every now and then would pull out a kill or 2 in a round that would influence the outcome, but has had some real big decisive ones in the same fashion that I've seen Gomez do.
Yeah, Blaz has been another one. Really enjoyable to watch today, particularly. Had a fantastic day, but that's what this tournament's all about. About getting the best players in the world together and, you know, watching them have their moments, watching them shine, and I'm sure somebody is going to shine here in round 10. The question is, will it be on the side of OXG, or can SCARZ continue fighting for just a little bit longer? OXG haven't really done too much so far to keep them out of the building, which would be, like I say, the normal sort of first step for defenders. Try and prevent the attackers getting themselves established. OXG haven't really worried about that too much. They've been kind of happy for them to take a little bit of ground and then to play back into it. Fishlight manages to get Yoga, but again, something OXG have done well, play together, and once somebody dies, they find a kill, whether it be a trade, whether it be somewhere else. They always need to have an answer. Need to be careful, though. They're going to lose another one above, but no, the pistol doesn't do the job for Washoy. Newers manages to turn on him and find the kill. Rek is there for the trade. And that leaves us in a 3 versus 3, but the problem is, at the minute, this kind of suits OXG because that attrition is going their way. SCARZ are always responding. They're losing somebody and responding, and that will only benefit the defenders.
Really stinky from Washoy, like, you've got to be getting that kill there. You might get away with it in the Japan League, but on the international stage, 0 chance that you get anything less than, or anything more, sorry, than about a quarter of a second to convert that into a kill before the bullets are coming back the other way and you're potentially losing your life. They could have been in a great spot here to be in a 4 versus 3, but instead it has worked completely against them. Things are all balanced out as we get in towards this last 60 seconds too for SCARZ. It's now or never, Tim, and it's starting to feel more than ever like it might be never.
Certainly is. They've got the breaches done, so not perfectly clean. It's going to be a vault or a serious crouch to get on in there. I'm not sure crouch will cover it on the left. It'd probably have to be go full prone, so I don't think they'll be doing that. It's a little bit of a tricky one. Might mean that they have to push out towards the door if they do choose to go in through that way, but 20 seconds left to go. It's late to be making a rotation, Nina, because I feel like OXG are ready for this. You're going to go into archives, but look on the left of your screen. Hat is there, he's ready. However, Nina does manage to find a shot, spraying through the soft wall, takes down Gomez, but Diaz is there. The hero once again finds two. Now in a 1v1. Who comes out on top? Diaz turns his back, but he's going to run. He just needs to survive. SCARZ could not find the shots. Diaz hangs on, and OXG close out border.
That feels like the story of this map. SCARZ could not find the shots. They might be much improved from yesterday, Tim. But Oxygen, I think it's fair to say themselves, also hit another level. Hat going 13-5 or so. Newers up at 9-4. They've had a very comfortable first game there. And for SCARZ, there is still so much work to do. So many wasted opportunities that they cannot let run away from them like that.
No, absolutely not. Like I said, I do genuinely think a little bit better than we saw yesterday from SCARZ, but nowhere near enough improvement to challenge a team like OXG, who are looking very, very good at the minute.
They are. Well, there's work for SCARZ to do and work for our analysts to do after the break. Back with you in just a few minutes.
Tap, yeah, I want that. No lines, I don't cut back. Sweet, salty, and all that. Let loose, come get that. Can you play that back, back, back? Can you run that back, back, back? I'm trying to play that back, back, back. I want that. Tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Right here, can you feel? Let's go. Tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Right here, can you feel that? Ooh, you feel that? Ooh, the real back. Ooh, I'm still that. Ooh, you catch that? Ooh, I guess that. The best back. Yeah, yeah. 30,000 up on my pallet. Might jump out if I'm wildin'. Catch my flow, I'm so stylish. Tap, tap, real smooth. Can you play that back, back, back? Can you run that back, back, back? I'm trying to play that back, back, back. I want that. Tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Tap, tap, let's go, let's go. Right here, can you feel? Let's go.
SCARZ are going to have to change quicker than Fox if they want to have any hope at SI25. How you doing, Fox? You good, man?
That was pretty good, I guess. I just got so excited from the Diaz 1v5 that I spilled liquids all over myself. So
Yeah, look, it's tough. It's really tough to be a Japanese fan out here. At least if you're a fan for SCARZ. COG may be holding their weight. Is this marginal improvement from what we've seen from SCARZ?
Well, from what you were saying, hey, this is marginal improvement. Absolutely not. No, I'm not giving any little bit of credibility because you had 2 good rounds, 3 good rounds. We need to be seeing solid rounds. We need to be seeing clean rounds. And there were rounds within this game that was like, okay, they got through the hard part, and then immediately we just fumble it, and then now we're resulting. They lose the first map. Like I said, they need to be getting a 2-0 win. That's now impossible. They just need to make sure they win the next map.
I mean, you can't be happy. The amount of clutch situations that SCARZ gave up is just disrespectful. I mean, I wouldn't say that they improved at all. The confidence isn't there. They're not really playing comfortably. And on OXG side of things, I mean, I'm happy that they're playing confident, but it looks like they're just the better players in the server at the moment. Of course, it's a place to start, but it's not a true test to what we want to see from Oxygen just yet.
Yeah, unfortunately for SCARZ, I mean, SCARZ, it should have been 5-5. This should have been going the full distance. That potentially, maybe it could have gone OT. Regardless, OXG, they pull out when it matters, and Hat, I mean, like, what a performance.
Yeah, for his first event internationally at all, obviously the first 2 games, he wasn't, you know, too comfortable, but seeing him just get into the top of the leaderboard, especially on that hard support role, it's good to see that he's getting the ball rolling.
Yeah, Lax, we talked about the 1v5. We've talked about some of the moments. Just a bit of a letdown.
Yeah, I mean, it is a letdown because, you know, I already went into this. This is the ace that Diaz ended up getting. You know, it's one thing of letting a round slip away, but when you do all the hard part in the beginning of this round and then just let it slip away that way, and then we go to round 7, where this is the most default take. Everyone knows how to do this. They're already preemptively throwing these thatchers, trying to catch a C4, and not committing to the plant beforehand to bait that out. These are just basic fundamentals in Siege and basic fundamentals take that every region does that you should be doing, that you should be knowing. But instead, what you're doing, you're wasting the thatchers. You aren't even committing to the plant based off the thatchers being used. You're doing it after the fact, and then you're catching every little piece of util that is then thwarting that entire round, thwarting off that entire attack. Again, this is what I was talking about in the pre-show, is that they need to be here on every single basic fundamental of Siege, and we just are not seeing it displayed at all.
I mean, watching those rounds, it's almost like they have the blueprint of what to do, but they haven't practiced it enough outside of the game to understand when they need to do things. I mean, putting the OSA shield down and just dumping your EMPs before the defuse is going off, it's either poor communication or not enough practice to know when you need to do those. You need to wait until you hear the C4 rip, just little communication. Okay, now I'm planning. Like,
but what
there
do you,
really
what do you
wasn't anything
consider
there.
needing enough practice when you've made every single major since Copenhagen and you go out immediately? Like, where is the communication then throughout every single entire event? I don't know what practice more you could possibly put in. You are at SI 2025. You are one of the best teams in the region. These are basic fundamentals. They should be being they should be happening, plain and simple.
I agree. They're just enjoying the vacation at this point.
Well, I mean, they're going to have to, because that's all that might be for them is a vacation. We're going to go to a short break, and on the other side, hopefully, SCARZ can bounce back and show us why they deserve to be here. We had to take a quick break to let Lax, I guess, cool off for a second there. I mean, it got heated, but I can understand it.
It's frustrating just from being a player. And, you know, I was getting frustrated when we would make top 8 or we would make top 4 and we couldn't get past. So when you're coming to every single event and you're just bombing out right away, like, how does that not make you upset? How do you then come to the next event and do the exact same thing? And then, like I said, like, you're just throwing away all of your hard work that you did to get here to be one of the best teams in the world.
And it's a shame because it's not from a lack of trying. Interregionally,
No, they're the best.
SCARZ is the best team. Both stages getting first and then coming through. I mean, it's a shame. And then they get to the event and it's just like the Monstars stole their power.
I know, what a reference. Unfortunately, this will be, and look, it's not a great stat. It'll be the 5th event in a row that they've made since Copenhagen where they have not been able to get anywhere outside of really the last 4 place, which is just devastating, considering, again, like you're saying, how domestically dominant they are. And on the flip side, it's kind of the hilarity and the irony in this, Fox, is Oxygen didn't have the greatest of stage 2s, at least in
They
the
had
results
2 years
category.
of nothing.
Yeah, and now here they
SCARZ
are.
had 2 years of something.
And obviously, it's a starting point to OXG to get this win. But the OXG that we saw in the previous 2 days was something to be proud at, something to look forward to.
Sure.
Now they're just doing the basic thing. It's not really a test to what we can see tomorrow.
No.
Yeah.
So I don't really know where this leaves OXG. Even if they get that 2-0, where does it put them? I mean, it saves them from getting eliminated, I guess. But
I mean, you know,
past
and
that point.
I don't want to take anything away from Oxygen. They're obviously coming here. They're putting on their performance. They won their opponent's map pick. That's huge. You got to feel confident now going into your map pick.
All right, well, I mean, if you're heated, I couldn't imagine how our casters are. Ace, Des, let's pray for something from SCARZ.
Play all you like, Rob. I think the only thing we'll get given tonight is an early bedtime. For SCARZ, it was a very rough first performance, and although it was better than yesterday, Tim, there are still levels they need to go through here to catch up.
That's it, you know, yeah, the first thing is you've got to play to improve. The second thing is we've then got to look at who you're against, which maps you're on, and right now, SCARZ are nowhere near. And
They are.
OXG took full advantage of that. They're coming into Bank, and I think it might actually get more difficult for SCARZ here because we're on a bigger map now. It makes it more complicated. OXG will have more options. They'll have more options for adaptability, versatility, and so SCARZ are going to have a lot more to stand up to. They're going to have, you know, OXG a lot more opportunities on the defense, for example, to get out into the map and just set a lot of problems for SCARZ to have to work through, and I think things are going to get harder.
It certainly will before they get any easier. I think the map certainly doesn't help it either for SCARZ. At least back on border, they could say it was one of their favourites. They were happy to play it, 3-1 record on it. Bank, one of their perma bans. They haven't played it for a good while either. It's been a few months, I think 4 at this point, when they last played it in the Japan League and Oxygen. Well, for them it was a pretty hidden map as well, but we saw what the story with that was like on border. Both of these maps that Oxygen don't really tend to run towards. So I think there are some nasty surprises in store and waiting for the Japanese side. Let's go through our bands though, Tim. Blackbeard and Yenga first 2 taken away.
Kaid is going to be our first defender ban, and that will be followed up by another, I'm going to guess, Azami. We'll see whether that actually materialises or not, but it would usually be the case. Azami, maybe Mirror, I guess. We are on Bank. It can be very, very useful in Janitor, down in Basement, so there's a strong argument for Mirror as well. Or maybe Vigil.
Yeah, why not Vigil?
Yeah, you're just going to now play into Azami and Mirror. I'm sure that'll be easy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too sure about the decision-making there. I get it, you know, you look at someone on the other side and go, cool, they play this quite a bit. Nua's the resident Vigil player on this team.
I mean, it sort of says that they're kind of concerned about what I said coming in, that it's bang, and on the defence, so XG are going to take the opportunity to get out in the map, run round and make a nuisance and set loads of problems for them to solve. I get that, but I mean, well, maybe it's a double-edged sword. If you're coming from SCARZ' perspective, they're struggling with a lot of things at the minute, so it's pick your poison, I guess. You know, yeah, they're not going to have Vigil running all over the map now, but they are going to have to play into probably an Azami in server, an Azami in open area, an Azami in CEO, or in stock corridor, a mirror in janitor, a mirror in red corridor. You know, they're going to have an absolute nightmare.
They're going to play it themselves, of course. They've got all 3 architect operators on side here in the Azami, the mirror, and the castle. Really want to lock this place up like Fort Knox on that ground floor. More, of course, focus on the setup on the top floor. In case you are new to Siege, haven't watched too much of it before, if the actual site itself isn't too defendable, you've got 2 choices. Maybe 3 if you consider this third one a little bit of a crazy one, but the first choice, you extend laterally. You play the rooms surrounding the site. Not easy to do here, because then you'd be in towards the lobby and you'd be in towards square stairs. So your other choice is to go above, assuming, of course, there are soft floorings. Thank you very much, Mr. Observer. And because there's so much soft flooring and a lot of very good defendable positions up here, such as janitor, well, you want to play around here as best you can. A castle helps you lock down those more exposed angles. And the mirror, of course, gives you some really good cover. That means Oxygen need to fight through this top floor or play a massive risk in just going direct towards site and going for a plant. But as we've seen so much over the last few days, Tim, that isn't really a winning strategy.
What I would say is, if SCARZ are going to take the choice to take Vigil off the board and not Azami or Mirror, they'd better win a good few defensive rounds with those operators on side. That's the reality. That's what the outcome is going to have to be, because it is going to be super difficult for them to pick up attacks. Now then, we've got OXG looking to push him very quickly here. Yoga's on the blitz and he's looking to go. He's just waiting for this breach to happen. This is just going to be a rush straight in towards Sire. Get the smoke canisters down, potentially get a plant, and you know what? They might just get away with this. Yoga's taking a bit of damage. He's had to dip away. He's going to move elsewhere and potentially look for the same option, but they've got... Oh, he's just left himself with his feet exposed there. SCARZ have stood up well. Bushoi manages to find the kill. That takes the sort of focus of that attack away. Finds another one onto Gomez as well. OXG, I think they've been punished for a little bit of overconfidence here.
And a little bit too direct towards site. As I said earlier, Tim, it's rare that you see this come off successfully because it hinges on so many things going right. And if you forget about even a single player or aren't aware of their position, they can ruin everything. In this case, it was Bushoi inside a site. There was no backstab coming in from lobby side. Everything was just a little bit too easy for SCARZ to hold on. Well played by Bushoi, though. Great placement of those smokes. 2 kills for himself. Makes it a third as well. On to Diaz. It's looking good. Finally, he's put in the dirt. But SCARZ, I think it's enough to that 1v5. I don't think I feel I can get excited about a man advantage for SCARZ because I know that the potential is there. They can just give it away.
Hat and Rek are currently in a bit of a standoff, so Hat is on the rappel, Rek is tucked in the corner. Hat knows he's got him locked in there, but Rek knows that he can sit there for forevermore. He's not going to get found from underneath. Yimers tries to go in and at least move him or something, but Rek has somehow kept himself in position. He finally strays far enough across for Hat to find him, but 2v3, 35 seconds left to go. No. This might actually be doable. The Yokai drone starts to come in. I think New as hears that, sees it, can take it out, and might now have an opportunity to put it down. Hat's inside, looking on the cover. He's got the kill. Please. 2v4. They're going to do this, Des.
They missed the Yokai.
Lewis is putting the diffuser down. Tau, he's coming in. Is he going to get the kill? No, it's Fishlike, who just makes his entrance at the right time. And I think that SCARZ have done just enough to hold on to what was looking like a shaky round.
Like I said to you, Tim, I struggle to get excited when they've got the man advantage. Now, sure, it's been a bit of a save there by Fishlike at the bitter end of things, but when it came down to a 2v2 and they had the vertical cover, they got rid of one of those Yokais, I was starting to sweat a little bit for SCARZ. They got it over the line at the very least off the back of a great start from Bushoi. Again, full credit to him. 3 kills, planted his feet, barely had to move, and cleaned up the majority of OXG because they forgot about him when planning out how the execute was going to go.
That was a mistake from Yoga there. You know, his positioning wasn't great. You've got to be aware of your entire body. If you're going to do something like that, go in for the plan. I even thought it at the time, to be honest. I know it's easy for me to stand here and say after the fact, but I did think at the time, I thought, you're too far across on that bookshelf. You know, you're potentially going to leave yourself sticking out. If anything, he'd have been better off sticking out of the front side of it because the angle's not quite the same from where Bushoi was, and the bookshelf itself might have actually blocked the line of sight through to him, or it might have been more possible for somebody to challenge, to support him, and to just protect him whilst that plant was going down. So a little bit of a mistake from Yoga, but hey, we can't criticise too much. OXG, they gave it a go. They had a little rush. They had a little luck. It didn't quite work out for them. SCARZ managed to get the first round, lock it down, like I said, given that they've left Azami and Mirror on the board and chosen to ban the Vigil. SCARZ need to make sure that they're getting as many defensive rounds as they can, because I feel like attacking is and should be pretty tough on Bank with those operators available.
Stolen away drone from the Mozzie. Was banned away on our previous map, if you recall. Definitely the strangest ban that I've seen, and probably also the strangest kill I'll see. Once again, OXG not quite having enough drone work in place to sniff out where a couple of players are, and they're paying the price for it, admittedly trying to get in past the Warden. I'm sure, Tim, they knew he was on blue stairs, just didn't think he'd be at the bottom waiting for the shield to come running past. They've paid the price, they've lost the shields.
Again, you know, that's essentially a couple of mistakes there from OXG in the first couple of rounds, losing that blitz a couple of times. But they showed last time around, even in the 2v4, they were able to make something out of the round very, very nearly. So I'm sure they're going to be going back to the drawing board. The diffuser is down at the minute, but that shouldn't be the end of the world, because they're going to look to go into that position to plant anyway. They need to deal with this Warden at the bottom of blue. They can't just allow them to stay there. They've, you know, got themselves into server. They need to make sure that they're getting this kill here. They don't want to challenge into the shotgun, but maybe they just have to. That's a good track, actually, because it means that they're not taking as much of a risk. They know if they're engaging at distance or not.
Oh, guys, like, hello?
God.
I was about to say, there are still players in sight. Hello? Washoy picks up 2. What happened to Oxygen during the break, Tim? It's not the cleanest look for them. Nuas is down. It's a 2 versus 4. I don't know. It's looking a bit messy, and they're still holding tight. Washoy dug in deep, shotgun in hand, waiting for the push to come on through. Surely there should be a 1 versus 1 that he wins out. You then start asking the question, and where is Diaz? What else is happening around this map? They're still trying to pinch him. Finally, they get away with it. But my God, has he wasted a lot of time, Tim, and they're taking a lot of lives off the back of that position.
Yeah, it's taken far too long. They had the track on the Warden from Nuas, so they knew whether he was top or bottom stairs, and that's all they really needed. They just needed to be a bit more decisive in the movement. They had the track. They knew he was at top of stairs, so just push into bottom stairs and take the kill. You don't get killed from sight then, because you're getting yourself into some cover. It was just all a little bit slow and a little bit tentative from OXG. Approaching the hatch, it's going to be hat taken down by Tayu, leaving Diaz in a 1v2.
Oh, please.
Can he do it again? No! Rek wins out the 1v1 from Red this time, and that's going to be 2-0 SCARZ, and the energy in the team is just starting to go back up again.
Could not bear it if they'd let it go again. And when it was Rek that was left in the 1v1, I mentioned about the poor tournament he's have. I think coming into this game, it was him and Tayu rated as the 2 worst players in the tournament, Tim. So I was really nervous for a second that Diaz would just channel his inner energy from the last map and get it over the line once more. It would have been a big throw from SCARZ, but for now, they hold on at 2-0. To come back to what I said, though, I don't know what's going on with Oxygen, Tim. Looking a little bit, don't know, incomplete, a bit unfocused.
Couple of mistakes, couple of big mistakes to kick things off, you know. Like I said, the positioning of the plant from the first one, bit of a problem. Losing Yoga, going straight into sight this time, bit of a problem. You know, not expecting Warden at the bottom of, like, you know, OXG, they just need to focus up a little bit, I think. Like I say, SCARZ, for me, need at least a 4-2 half here. It is not going to be easy attacking into Mirror and Azami. That's why they keep bringing it themselves. And OXG, you can be certain, are going to do the same thing in return, and SCARZ are going to have to break that down. So they need to be getting, like I said, at least an advantage, a solid advantage, a 4-2 half, 5-1 if they can, to give them every opportunity to close out Bank and take us to Clubhouse.
All right, got the Skopos on side. I don't need to talk about Skopos on this map too much, Tim. We've seen some wonderful plays from Skopos players. Some at this tournament, actually, but the main one we always think back to was the one we saw back over during the Brazilian stage. Bit of magic transporting around between them, using one as a cover against the window player. Didn't ultimately win it out, but it was one of those moments where you really saw the potential of this operator starting to shine. As long as Fishlight plays it properly, he should be able to get out of this elevator alive without fear of being naded to death or just being stared and bared down on by this enemy team. So it is quite a sticking point to get into. Tayu already falling down, though, here to Hat.
Yeah, going to be punished to the superior scope of the Carly there, and that's now going to allow them to get onto these windows. It is top floor, of course, the site this time, and that's going to make things a little bit tricky. Rec is trying to play inside of sight at the minute, but the keeper barricades and castles should start to be dealt with realistically. The Carly, of course, is able to do a little bit of that, I think, working to just clear a little bit of other utility as well, such as the mirror. We can see that that has been done. We're just going to punch some lines of sight into those soft walls. Rec just dancing around this castle barricade at the minute. You can see he's absolutely itching to make a challenge on to these windows. Puts the keeper barricade up again just to prevent Hat getting the line of sight, but as I suggested he might, Hat has cleared that castle barricade now, which has forced Rec out of position, and he might just come face to face with Yoga in the near future.
Oh, the jump out as well.
No claymores.
And then they realised that Hat was doing a bit too much damage there as well. Yeah, mirrors being destroyed, castle barricades being taken away, and I saw the Azami keepers coming back up. I thought, actually, I don't think I've seen a Carly shooting onto those keepers. I'm not sure how much time, how many shots it takes, or how quickly she can chew through them. I imagine pretty quickly it's going to be the answer. With him being taken offline, at least that threat is removed, and they've got a bit more safety from those windows.
That's the problem with only bringing 2 claymores. You're playing 50-50. There's 4 windows that people can go out of, and SCARZ have got away with it. Newest manages to find Washoy, leveling things up 3v2 as he knows Fishlak is likely to come back up square. Nina does manage to find him for the trade. 2v2 as they dance around each other now. Yoga able to push in and provide a little bit of intel, but it means that Diaz has got a lot of work to do. Nearly finds the head, will find it this time, takes down Nina, and there is now an opportunity. 2v1, Yoga able to pull out the pistol and close it out. OXG get their first attacking round.
Round by round, let's go.
Tough for SCARZ again, where it felt like they'd done enough there, to be honest, to claw it back. I thought once they got rid of the Carly, a lot of the pressure was removed, but when Nuas can just walk up White Corridor, net a 2K, convert it into a third, well, there's not a whole lot you can do, and this is the problem I think SCARZ face off against him. They haven't got that superstar. Fishlak's had a great series, it's worth stressing so far. Best player for them, was showing a good first round, but did they have someone that stacks up against Nuas and the consistency that he has shown so far? I don't think so. Yeah. Looking across the whole series, it's like, what, 16-8 for Hat, 13-7 for Diaz, 12-7 for Nuas. They are flying, and on the other side, everyone except Fishlak is currently negative, Tim. The craziest stat of all is that Fishlak is currently 6-1 on entry. How the hell has that happened?
Fishlak's been doing some real work, to be fair. A couple of big moments. He did kind of failed to stop the 1v5 clutch of Diaz, but he should never have been in a 1v1 realistically in that situation. But other than that, very solid throughout. So we can see now round 4 coming along. It's going to be open area this time that SCARZ will go to defend. Unfortunately, I think the first few rounds, it is fair to say, have been characterised by the mistakes that have been made rather than teams necessarily just, you know, out and out winning rounds. But SCARZ, the two that they've won well. They've stood up to a couple of rush attempts. They've had the answers, at least, to what OXG have done. And, you know, I talk about mistakes. Mistakes are only mistakes, so they only look like mistakes when they get punished. And that's what SCARZ have done. And that's all that we can ask of them, really. So moving into round 4, let's see how they can do holding on to open area. I think OXG will likely be looking for a bit of top floor control. Yoga is on the Monty again. He's going to look to push through electrical by the looks of things. He's got Gomez along with him as well. And I think it's about getting control of lower square and then working from there.
It is, but more than just that, Tim, it's about going the whole full 9 yards and getting it finished out, because you've seen them make mistakes when they've looked for the execute. You've seen them getting tripped up when it comes around to the late round, as good as things might start early on. Both teams have got to be really conscious of that. It's OXG, I think, have now started to settle, but look at that. They've out seen everything here. They know about both of these players that are starting to stack up. Capital Smoke coming out, trying to give them a little bit of room, but I don't think they'll get away with this, Tim. Look, Washoy's happily taking these Selmas off the wall. It's not really a concern for them.
And nobody's doing anything about Washoy on the side of OXG. There's no challenge. There's nobody moving in from main lobby. There's nobody working from the opposite side. He's going to sit here all day. There's nobody above looking to open up a vertical. There's absolutely nothing to be done. Like you say, he's just going to keep taking the Selmas out. The quad wall stays closed. This is a problem for OXG, and they've... Again, it's a problem that they've kind of allowed to develop. They know he's there. They don't think the Selmas are just being shot off by magic. Fishlak manages to get Yoga, Tayu onto Gomez, and that's because they just stood around waiting, Des. There's nowhere for them to go.
The Valcams have done so much work here as well, haven't been dealt with, and at this point, SCARZ looks super comfortable. It doesn't seem to matter what Oxygen do. Look, there's one here, there was one that was staring just inside too when they were stepping in. As you can see, they're looking at the quad wall. That has not been dealt with. You're really seeing here the strength that a Valkyrie can offer when there's no IQ on side to be able to counter her out. And honestly, I think every step that Oxygen take from this point forward, SCARZ are going to be, quite literally 2 or 3 steps ahead.
Yep, not dealt with the Valcams, all the information's there. DS
nice
finally
bid.
goes in and removes Washoy. If SCARZ allow them to get this one back, then I'm going to be asking some serious questions, because they've done some great work through the first 2 minutes to get themselves into this position. Going to be Hat up on the top floor. He knows that this player's up there, he just doesn't know exactly where. And SCARZ are playing this pretty smart. They're not going to over-engage. They're not going to push forward, chasing that kill. They know that the clock is working in their favour. Nina does manage to find Hat. I think he might have gone into stock, potentially, and just worked a shot through the window there. But it's all coming down to this now, as Diaz tries to rush in. He's going to be taken down by Fishlike. And that was a nice defence from SCARZ. But again, I'm afraid that the round was characterised by the mistakes from OXG. They've just stood in electrical with the Capitao and the Monty. The Monty's looking towards Tellers. He must be able to see Washoy on the Valkyrie in there, shooting the Selmas off the wall.
It's really just the fast plays with us, and like our droning, like when we're going forward, is like really weak, right? So we just got to make sure we're playing cleaner siege, step by step. When we take our time and we clear these guys, we smoke them, right? So at this point, I don't think we cut any corners. Like, let's work together to clear guys, because we're struggling with the fast plays, and our droning's ass when we're going for those fast plays. So making sure we're collecting enough info, all right? For Tellers, they do leave money bags open. So like, if we did want to hit Tellers fast again, we could open up money bags and plant money bags while Blitz runs in to distract. But if not, I think we just try to clear these guys, because it worked for CEO. So let's just take our time and go for these clears, okay? Yep. Hey, listen, you guys got this. Lock the fuck in, all right? We got this. Come on. Let's go. Let's go.
Lock in, boys.
I think that's
Lock in.
smart. I think, you know, what Redeemer said there is right. The rush plays aren't working. It's meaning that they're going in without intel. They're not recognising where the problems are. I've spoken about the Valkyrie at length there, that they've allowed to chew through a bunch of Selmas. And then what happens? They just get caught, stood around waiting, because there's nowhere else for them to go. So, yeah, I think Redeemer's right there. Just get back to fundamental, basic siege. We go in, we clear top floor, we open up the angles, we force them away from sight, and then we look for a plant. And I think it is just go back to your checklist.
It's like we said back in the first couple of rounds, Tim, they just looked a bit unfocused. Don't know what it was, just charging in without droning and getting caught out, shot in the back. It was silly and far from the composed team that we saw back on border. So I'm glad that we're on the same page to see the same things from this wonderful top-down view that we have, and of course the beauty of seeing the outlines of the other team and exactly what it is that's happening throughout the map. I'm glad the Redeemer spotted the same, and hopefully the boys do clean things up here. If they can pull this back to a 3-3, it will feel like a real win for Oxygen. Given this down here at 2 rounds, SCARZ probably still fancy their chances to get things over the line, but I think based on what Redeemer said, it feels like they believe that this is in their hands. It's on how they want to play the game rather than what SCARZ are putting up before them.
Well, it's not to say that SCARZ won't win in another way, but at the minute, the round that SCARZ are winning, they're winning because they're punishing the mistakes. Take away the mistakes, and it forces SCARZ to find another way to win the rounds, and then we will ask the question, we will see the answer. Are they capable of doing that? As it is, we're going to have immediately Hat looking to push into main lobby. He's just going to take out that FNAT there, have a little look ahead of himself as well. Needs to be cautious because there was somebody around elevators. It's Nina playing over there on the Fenrir, so could be a challenge coming in if they're not careful. I'm glad to see they brought the IQ as
yeah,
well,
just about
they were punished heavily by the Valkyries last time.
They were bullied by the Valkyrie last time, Tim, and we saw ourselves so often, thanks to our observers, the view that SCARZ had of all the action, where these players were, how easy they were to pick off, and I guess Rocksha must have felt like they were fighting against ghosts. They were coming out the walls at different points. They couldn't do anything about it. Obviously, as we know, it's because of those cameras scattered around the map. It has been much slower, though, Tim. No one's dived in and got themselves finished off earlier. The last thing I want to see happen here, though, is Oxygen go too slow and find themselves starved and up against the clock. They've got a lot of utility to work with, and I'm looking here towards the Sense and towards those Grimbees when I say that. But it's about getting in position to do it, because otherwise, SCARZ, they've got C4s, they've got the smokes, they've got the Vulcan canisters that have got to get blown through still. There is a lot they've got to worry about.
It's like we're asking OXG to test porridge for us, Des. Not too fast, not too slow.
Just right.
Nina goes the challenge out of Elevator. He's not going to find it, but needs to make a smart decision here. Drops away because they've already lost 2, and they find themselves now 5 versus 3. There's only a minute left to go. Attacking down onto basement. The hatches are open, so that is a positive, at least for OXG, but they need to now choose where they're going, and they need to get moving. Where is Gomez? Where is that breach going to come? And they've got about 45 seconds.
Well, they've got nothing on blue, let's not forget as well. The hatch hasn't been opened up on blue, so everything is looking like a mainstairs and straight hatch drop push. You can do that with DS on side playing on the sense, but he's playing Fastwatch right now. It's been different. In comes the drop as well. Yeah, they've got the Grim Beast tagging out a couple of players at the same time. 4v2 breaking out, and straight away there's one there, but Newers is there for the cover. Good stuff, and Fishlight, well, it's the other end of the map, unfortunately. Tim, still 3 players standing, and I don't suspect he gets away with this one. No ping coming on through. They know now where the defuse is going down, but nothing they can really do about it. That's going to get stuck, and it looks like this one might be cooked.
Yeah, I think definitely so. Even with those hatches open, there was never really going to be much that Fishlight could do. He knows he's got one down, so he's effectively 1v3, but being challenged from towards Vault will be cut down by Diaz, and that is going to be a successful round for OXG, and I think that's basically on the back of what Redeemer has said in that tactical timeout. Let's just slow it down, let's play the clear, which they did. They went through top floor, they cleared Nina out of Elevator, forced them to drop back to site, got a couple of kills along the way. They played that game, and they played it much, much better.
They did. Much more composed. What more can you say? Good bit of drone work, spotted Rekka.
Way better drone work, way better clearance.
I think that one was personal. I'm gonna lie, with Rekka, I think just again being caught out seemingly nowhere on this one. I did think for a second when we had the drop come through that we might see SCARZ get away with a couple of kills there that upended the whole attack, but nope. It's not quite able to get the kills they needed to halt Oxygen in their tracks. Last round of the half then, we're going back downstairs. Tim, SCARZ believe they can make it work down here. Don't need to head out to another site. I imagine Oxygen heavily disagree with them. A change in lineup as well for SCARZ. Less dug in on site. Looking much more mobile with things like the Mozzie on side, the Legion coming along, and maybe even seeing things like the Fenrir getting busy out and around the map.
Just going to have the due diligence of Seto, get that vault hatch closed up. Again, SCARZ are going to be very aware of any potential quick plays. If OXG can basically rinse and repeat now and pay attention to what worked last time, keep those words from Redeemer in their mind, play their game, clear the map, push onto site, there's definitely a 3-3 half for them in this.
I'm a little bit nervous because knowing there are, Hibana's really great on this map because Queen of Hatches gets rid of a lot of hatches. They've only got two hard breach gadgets in back pocket here. The Maverick was swapped away from, so there's no true hard breacher on side. If DS goes down or can't get to the right parts of the map here, they're in trouble. They won't be able to get all these hatches opened up, and that can really come back to bite you. So got to see Oxygen being careful here. Either that or they've got a very, very well-planned play here that doesn't require getting loads of hatches opened up. It's a little bit nervous because I don't think I've ever really seen a team not bring at least 4 of those gadgets along, plus a hard breacher in most cases.
Yeah, it's definitely a risk, that much is for sure. Rek is going to be chased away, and I like this. Yeah, we've got better drone work, we've got the Dockerby being brought along, so we've got the calls coming in. Going to be punished. Rek not opening the hatch quickly enough, gets taken out. Ha manages to find the entry. Within a minute, OXG have got the advantage again, 5 versus 4.
It's a bit silly from Rek, like you've heard the shots coming in, you heard the DMR go off, and you've still stepped back out and paid the price for it. But no, something's really weird about
this. Stand on top of the hatch and shoot it.
Something's really weird about Rek this tournament. I don't know what it is, but certainly not frying at the level that we're used to seeing over in the Japan League, or that we've seen at previous international events. A little bit disappointing. 4 versus 4, mind you. Now Oxygen with about a minute and a half left to go. Plenty of time to play with. Again, as soon as that Dokkaebi call is off cooldown, it's being used here. Just trying to shepherd SCARZ back on towards site and not see themselves getting caught out. No Jackal on side does mean they're relying a lot on the Deimos and the Dokkaebi here to make sure there are no nasty surprises.
Yeah, Diaz is still standing, so that's a big positive for them. They can get the hatches open that they want to get open, and they've got the light screens, which is generally the utility that they're going to be looking to play behind when it comes time to plant. So they are still kind of on target there. They need to be cautious of blue stairs. There is Fishlight there on the ward, and they didn't deal with this position last time, or it certainly took them far too long to deal with it. 50 seconds left to go. I'm not sure exactly what the plan is at this point.
Right idea is try and get rid of blue, as we've seen before. I believe it's Fishlock who's tucked inside of here. Indeed it is. Heard those glasses being turned on. Pushing in and going for the fight, but can't find each other. Yogg down to about half HP. Fishlock a little bit worse for wear. Comes out and can't find it. Yogg has taken him out and blue is clear. But Tim, there's only 30 seconds. This is going to be chaotic.
Yeah, it really is. They're going to use that Vendetta by the looks of it to try and open up the soft wall, give them access into sight. But there is still a little bit of utility left. Tayu can use those smoke canisters, and he's just going to keep pumping them into that default plant area. Yogg has had to go through. He's gone deep. The Senshi utility is there. Hat manages to get the kill onto Nina. Newers onto Ashoy. 1 second left to go. The plant has gone down. Fantastic stuff from OXG. What a last gasp execution. 10 seconds to go, Des. 10 seconds and they got it done.
Is that a little bit what I was worried about when I said it after the tack timeout? Don't slow down too much, and they did stall out, but we got to the outcome we spoke about, Tim. They were down 3-1, and I said back then, if they pull it up to 3-3, it will feel like a real smash and grab operation by Oxygen. They've done what they need to, Tim. They've got 3 attacks. I think now they're going to feel extremely comfortable going on to the defense, and SCARZ have really got their work cut out for them.
Yeah, I'd say, I think
This is like...
like I say, he can shoot the hatch from underneath him. He doesn't need to go back out.
He wanted to stay and play elevator, I think, but didn't realise exactly how aggressively he was being pushed.
I'm pretty sure he can still play it from the opposite side. He can stand right in the corner, shoot the hatch out, and I think there's a lip that he'd stay on. I could be wrong, maybe I'm wrong, but I'll tell you what, he'd have been better off dropping back to side. I think it's the fight to the man. He'd have been better off doing anything other than he did. So 3-3 at the split, and we are, interestingly, on the defensive side, not going to see any Azami, not going to see any Mirror. Both operators that SCARZ allowed through in favour of banning Vigil, and I was a little bit concerned that maybe they were going to find themselves facing down very difficult defences. It's not to say that they're not going to anyway, but, you know, I can see absolute sense in the ones that have been brought along. We've got the Goyo to waste time, we've got the Tuberao to protect the hatches, we've got the Warden to cover blue stairs, we've got Jaeger to assist with that, we've got the plant denial of the smoke, but we have seen some fantastic players down here. I'm thinking Doki on the Azami inside a server the other day. It was absolutely brilliant. Took minutes for it to be picked apart. He got kills as well, and can be a real tough cookie to break down.
Yeah, we've seen some very creative. I mean, even in the series, think about the creative setups that have really stalled things out. Look at SCARZ with their mirror play on the last map with the castle upstairs when defending Benson Workshop. It really cut the work out for Oxygen to have to try and work their way through that setup. Will prove to be a similar story here. Lots of capability to stall things out and see SCARZ, if they don't move at a good pace, being chewed up and spat out by this North American side. Nina hoping to catch this one player that's sat on the main stairs here off guard. It is Gomez on the Jaeger, lurking off towards his right-hand side. There's a couple of players starting to stack up around here at the same time. Got to be respectful, though, of the Jaeger. Gomez, who I mentioned earlier, sure, had a rough map so far at 0-5, but had a couple of rounds back on border where he just walked with a couple of kills, and the round was basically decided off the back of his contribution.
Droning will start up again at the minute-and-a-half mark, as they try to see exactly what is remaining where on site. We've got Hat actually moved over into the vault side at the minute, so OXG are playing this quite deep here. They've given up blue stairs, they've kind of given over servers to SCARZ. That's going to allow them into that default plant position, but there's still going to be a lot of work for them to do before they can get there. The attempt comes in for them to stun out the Twitch drone, but it's not going to be successful. That is absolutely fantastic work from Nina. Within about 15 seconds, almost all utility on the site where they're going to want to plant has been removed, and there's still 50 seconds left on the clock. That is great.
I love the little duel that took place between the bulletproof camera and the shock drone as well. Proper robot wars. Unfortunately for Oxygen, SCARZ come out on top of. Trying to get the exact angle here to get a plant going in. Smoke comes out. The problem is now, Tim, we start playing this stall game. A little EMP coming over the top. We saw them mistime the living hell out of this back on border. Here doesn't look too bad, of course, trying to catch any C4s that might head skywards, but Yogg, they'll just keep on tossing these smokes over, Tim, and I think at some point we're going to have to see SCARZ run deep.
Yeah, they're not going to have a choice because they're going to have about 3 seconds left at the absolute most when this next one dies out. I don't think they'll even have that long, to be honest with you. So it is going to be a case of Fishlight needing to just get on through this. Still waiting. 5 seconds left on the clock. Passes the diffuser to Rek, who eats a nitro. Probably too little too late. He just gets into position and starts putting it down. Fishlight can't hold on. The kill is there. It's an easy mop-up for OXG, and they lock down their first defense.
Let's go, baby.
Martin Gray clearing away the utility, Tim, but 3 smokes and 2 C4s still being left, and not a lot of time on the clock is always gonna bite you. We know that downstairs site can be an absolute nightmare when you're dealing with Vulcan canisters and smokes and C4s. Defenders can stall out for well over a minute if they play it correctly, and I think SCARZ left themselves with too much to do with too little time. Good coordination coming out of OXG. They now find themselves back in the lead once again, up to 4-3.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think, genuinely tough for SCARZ from here. Like I said, I felt like they needed a minimum of a 4-2 half on the defense to give themselves a real opportunity. Let's not forget, this is OXG's map pick. They're now on the defense. They've got all the operators they could want. Look, we've got that dynamic duo. It's the Mirror, it's the Azami. They are now going to utilize it. Up on the top floor, SCARZ had an opportunity to ban one of these two. They went with the Vigil instead. So far, that's been a wasted ban because OXG, we've just seen them play the one site that you would really be using that Vigil or really using that roam game, and they didn't. They just sat inside a site, they turtled up, and they used the utility available to them. Did it really well. So at this point, SCARZ, I'm a little concerned about the theory of that ban, because I just don't think you've got any value from it, and you're now up against a very difficult defense with both of these available.
Crazy thing is that Fishlight has continued finding
Hang on a
entries,
minute,
by the way. 7-1 on the entry to Fishlight. He is still cooking here. Good start to get rid of one. It is the castle so far from the end of the world there. A good catch out by Rek to start out the rounds. Problem is, and I've said it before, we've seen them with man advantages many a time over. And SCARZ have failed to then convert the round off the back of it. A little bit of confidence in this round because they've got the glass, because they've got the capital, because they've got the Monty. They've got a real good, aggressive, execute-focused composition here that they can do some real damage with. As long as they're conscious of things like those Valkyrie cameras that really punished OXG in the first half. They've also got a close eye on those mirror windows. They can be real blockers.
Yeah, they've got Fishlight on the windows now. The majority of SCARZ are actually moving in through main lobby elsewhere. That's where Tayu is located on the Monty, so that's where the majority of this push is going to come from. We can see the drones going up there. They're looking to clear the utility. Just need to be careful up there on the balcony. But no, Newers rains down, pain from above, taking Nina out and leveling things up at 4 versus 4.
Very delayed exchange. Nina might have benefited from the entry, but very quickly shut down before he can even get into a spot to make use of that utility. I mentioned about this lineup they had, about the Capital, the Monty, the Glass. They all work in tandem. They all benefit each other. When one goes offline, the other two become much weaker when you start thinking about an execute. Monty getting into a good spot, though. They've also got 2 here with them as well. 3 stacked up on Banana. A lot of damage they can do, Tim, but no one's giving them anything on the side of OXG.
No, they're just not over-peaking this. Rek, of course, trying to use that smoke and the thermal scope of Glass to just try and get any sort of freebie he can. It's ultimately Fishlight that manages to pick up Gomez, but how about this? Newers pops up, he gets one, he's hungry for more, he goes looking, but fronted up by the Monty, decides he needs to dip away, but OXG again, not over-committing to the fight. 3 versus 3, they've done their job, they've burnt another minute, they dip back deeper into sight, and they wait for SCARZ to reform and to push again.
Still curious to know what SCARZ's game plan is for this round, Tim. I saw the lineup and thought, oh, it's pretty obvious. They want to go for this sort of thing, a smoke execute or a way to take ground and really punish the enemy team with this glass. But when you had 4 players stacked up on Banana, I was a bit like, where are we going, boys? What is the game plan? And I still feel a bit lost at that. 2 smokes have now been burnt. They're down to just, well, nothing in back pocket. They've used all of them and not got anything for it. Maybe a kill onto Yogg here. He's on a slither of HP, but that's it. The only thing they now have left is going to be the Monty. Rek getting a kill, traded immediately back out onto a Shoy. And look at this, DS on a bit of a flank here. He can really play spoiler.
He's going to have to. Newers gets an essential kill onto the glass. That leaves the Monty all alone. Manages to circle around. There was no opportunity for Tayo to put the diffuser down, and that was crucial from Newers. Rek was just crouch walking his way through sight with that thermal scope in hand, looking to find Newers. I think they knew that Diaz was off site at that point, and it would have been an opportunity to put the diffuser down, but Newers wins the fight, and that triggers a SCARZ timeout as OXG are 2 rounds away from taking this one 2-0.
Looking a bit too easy for them now. Pedestrian almost in this second half. I was worried when we saw them flipping onto the defensive bank about how things would go from there. And frankly, it's gone as expected. I think not helped by SCARZ, who, as mentioned, looked a little bit lost in that attack team. I was like, we've got 4 of us on Banana. What is the game plan here? I really thought we'd see more coming.
It's about that adaptability. There was no plan B. It was, we're going to walk up gold stairs with the Monty and we're going to pressure with the glass. That didn't work, so they dropped back down and then went back up and tried again, and there's just no alternative. There was no plan B there. It was either that was going to work or it wasn't.
Yeah. And they got this. This was the nice start, right? It was a nice catch onto Hat, and then it just started to go wrong from there. Like, having no idea about what's going on, no respect on towards Banana. Taking it, like I say, here with 3 or 4 players all stacked up. Well, Bashoy, I think he's still off in Narnia somewhere after opening up the white hallway wall. It just looks a little bit, again, broken apart, a bit disparate, a bit desperate, dare I say. Not quite having the right idea or a strategy going into the round, and it came back to bite them. 5-3 then to OXG, 2 more rounds to him. They get that 2-0, and I'm pretty sure with that, it's not mathematical that SCARZ can't then qualify, but they've got Virtus Pro, they've then got W7M, 2 of arguably the best teams that we've got at the tournament. I don't really see them getting much in those games, and they need to do more than just get something. They'd have to win one of them to still be able to catch OXG and knock them down into 5th place. Basically impossible.
I think it's fair to say that it's very unlikely that SCARZ will qualify after losing this 2-0. So they need to turn it around. They need to dig deep. They need to find something after that tactical timeout. We saw a really good tactical timeout from OXG in that first half. Let's not forget, Redeemer really recognised what was going wrong. He called a halt to the rush plays. He called a halt to the speed. He said your droning needs to be better. OXG went on to win round after that timeout. So let's see if SCARZ can have the same sort of impact after theirs. They're going to be attacking onto open areas, so they're going to want to take top floor, I would imagine. At the minute, they're stacking up towards electrical. They've got the Monty going in there as well as the Rotero drones, but they need to make sure that they don't forget about the rest of the map.
Well, I think fast pace might have been the aim of the game there, but on the Monty, you tend to go a bit slow. You want to go fast, you bring along something like a blitz, or the starting entry point into the building. Can't remember back to that first half. It was Oxygen who really got stung and punished here by Valkyrie cameras scattered around. Bulletproof on the ground, at least going to be a reasonable alternative, question mark, I think, for Oxygen for now. Keep my eye more towards where the Valcams might be, need to start things out. It's Gomez falling down, that Valkyrie being taken offline, and yeah, for Gomez, I didn't praise him on the last map. He's had a rough time here on Bank. 0-7 so far. It's not looking good.
That's really good to start things off from SCARZ. They get 1 kill upstairs, they start getting the quad wall up. That's something that they were able to stop when they defended this site. It wasn't possible to get that wall open. They've used the smoke canisters, they've used the Selma chargers, they've got that job done. So that is good stuff from them. At least they've got something going. They've chased the other defenders away from top floor. Nina, you almost had a freebie, but Yoga was there waiting. Joe's wide open, and they snapshot and take down the Finker.
It's pretty obvious here. You got 1 sat on Printer, 1 top blue, 2 trying to look into site itself. Sat here in electrical. It's very reminiscent of what we saw earlier on. If you recall, Tim, Oxygen should know. It's exactly the same thing that happened to them, but in reverse. They should know what to expect here and how to play around this. New is just being a nuisance. And look at that. SCARZ have said, you know what, forget about it. Bail. We're going for a different... In fact, they're doubling back in. I think because they got Hat, they're thinking, yes, you know what, we can do this.
Hat, as this army had a Nitro in hand, as I think it was the Impacts, no, had a Nitro in hand to be able to deny it. It's going to be Diaz that comes through and needs to replace him in that position, but unable to move across as Fishlight takes down Newers. Tayu is in and able to potentially get a plant down here. This is not looking good as Washoy manages to find Diaz and another. That was a better attack. I said that they needed a response after that tactical timeout, and SCARZ have delivered it on that round.
It's crazy how that trigger of Hat going down was what changed SCARZ from rotating away and trying something else to suddenly flipping straight the way back and going back to what they were doing before. Small pick-off like that can make a whole lot of difference in the team's reasoning and decision-making, and well, they've shown that there in spades. It's good stuff, and you can see Oxygen were trying to poke around and do the same sort of things that SCARZ did back in that first half. Nua's mainly being the player that I look at around Archives trying to cause a little bit of bother, but not quite to the same effect. Fish-like already praised him to the high ends today as well, going to carry on putting up big numbers on the board for his team. SCARZ are now back within one, within striking distance of OXG. If they can take this through to Clubhouse, Tim, anything can happen there, because both teams love that map. You could see a very rejuvenated SCARZ coming out there if we get there.
Oh, for sure. It's just going to be about getting there, I think, realistically. OXG now able to go back down to that basement. If we have a look at the sites, you know, that they've already been through, they're now going back into that stronger area. That was their third choice. It was basement, it was top floor, then it was open area. OXG can just rinse and repeat. They can just go basement, top floor, and they get it won. They get it done 7-4 if they win the next 2 rounds. So I think we're going to be seeing lots of the same. The only big difference here, they have brought along the Echo, they have brought along the Oryx this time. They've got the Fenrir. So the Echo's going to be playing down inside, as we would know. Diaz, I'm not too sure about. He's on the Oryx, so he does have the functionality, at least, to be able to get himself up through the floors if he's got a couple of open hatches here and there, or if he opens them himself as he goes. Not sure whether that's going to be the case. He's hidden away in Vault at the minute. We'll see how that develops as they go. But for the time being, at least, SCARZ, they've taken the top floor, and they're going to be working their way down. They've certainly not wasted any time in doing so. They are going to be looking to plan in behind Rec and the Sense, I would imagine. We will see exactly how their execute develops.
No shoot on side to work with that. I mentioned back on that first map with it not being banned away that I would expect to see SCARZ playing it a lot. Oxygen brought it out, Yogg playing an awful lot of Monty. Didn't see tons of it out of SCARZ, a little bit, but not as much as I would anticipate seeing from that team, and certainly a similar story on this map, Black being instead the one that has been taken away. The Sens, as we've already remarked several times, Tim, really growing in popularity throughout this competition. Now that teams can control the ability to raise or lower those light walls, it makes it some much more cheeky plays that you can get away with as a team. Outside of that, though, it's getting these hatches opened up, it's getting the control you need. They know that everyone's now downstairs. They've done that homework, Tim. They're ready to roll and start thinking about an execute. Yeah,
they're getting all the hatches open, and I think this might be what Diaz has been waiting for. He's been just positioned in Vault on the Oryx the whole time with that hatch reinforced, but I think he's maybe played the game that, look, they're likely to come and open Vault hatch, and that's going to give me the route. I'm not sure if SCARZ have just sown the seeds of their own destruction, Des.
There's a yokai from Hat that I think is in lobby, and they're trying to maybe get a sniff here. Yeah,
they're having a look if the coast is clear. This is smart from OXG.
On elevators, Nina's on elevators. He can do a lot of work if he gets the backstab. Nina's aware of it, though. The yokai's there for the assist, but nothing coming out of Diaz.
That was a really nice try, was that?
They know as well, they're aware of what's going on. They know there's an Oryx on side, and fair play to SCARZ. They're read into it, but you've now got to kill him, and Nina does just
well
that.
Played, SCARZ.
Had the potential to be a big play, but I think they heard the yokai, and that's what gave it away.
Down go the gadgets, and in comes the plant. Fishlight looks to stick it, but has to dip away as the smoke canister comes in and just does a bit of damage. So again, it's just going to be that dance for the next 30 seconds of trying to clear out that utility and trying to get that diffuser down on the ground. He's gone back in again. We hear the toxic baby.
He's going to die. He just got down at the last hit.
That was so close, but Washoy is straight in there. He's taking a lot of damage as well. There are no more toxic babe canisters left. He's looking to go in, but no, it is now kill after kill after kill for OXG. They get it done. It wasn't plan A, which was the Oryx up the hatch, and I tell you what, Des, there was a bit of me just really hoping that was going to work out, because it was just such a cheeky play. I'm going to let that hatch be reinforced, and I'm going to let you open it and give me the method to get onto your flank. But SCARZ, it was well played from them. The due diligence was there. They spotted it out. They knew what was going on. They neutralized it very quickly. They were unfortunate not to get the rest of the round done. But OXG, as kind of expected on their primary site, get themselves onto that series point opportunity now.
And the frustration there for SCARZ for me, you've used all the light screens, you've dumped all the utility in, you've made your bed there, that's your execute. And as soon as the smoke comes on through after they've committed all these light screens and everything else, they back out and let the smoke expire. But you know another one is going to follow, or there'll be a C4. And I was gagging at that point for them to run deep and try something a bit different. You see a lot of teams do this when they know it's their last chance of getting a plant down realistically, thanks to where the clock is currently at. They'll just go deep and try another plant on chassis. They'll plant against a single reinforced wall, against orange, like all these different things and options exist for you to try and make happen. The SCARZ, they hesitate and it costs them dearly. That could have been a chance to get things back up to 5-5. Instead, Oxygen are at match and series point. If this goes their way, SCARZ, I think it's pretty sad to say to him, can basically wave goodbye to any chance of making it out of phase 1.
Yeah, I think that's probably the reality at this point. We can see the prep already going in with the Claymores going down, so that tells us they're going to be playing on the windows. They have brought enough. They've brought more than enough. They brought 6 Claymores along, so 4 of them will cover off those windows, so OXG will not be able to punish them in the same way that SCARZ were able to jump out and get a kill on the windows without losing somebody. That's the big key there. So they can get up there and play quite safely on the windows, but they're going to have a lot to contend with when they get there. There is the Azami, there is the Mirror. This is a really strong top floor setup from OXG.
He is very dug in. Again, for all 3 architects on side. We've basically come full circle now. This is how the game started from SCARZ, bringing along these 3 operators, really making the site itself a fortress, causing a lot of problems for Oxygen to try and work their way through. Now, SCARZ have got to show that they've got the chops to do the same onto the other. Rec really being the X factor, dare I say, on this Nook. This map, I think, Bang, probably the most synonymous with excellent Nook plays. You think about the number of players that have worked their way in through Garage, worked their way up main stairs, things along those lines. The biggest concern, being honest with you, Tim, is that it's Rec who's playing on the Nook. He's not had a lot of success.
No, he certainly hasn't so far. They're going to look to deal with that mirror window, which they do. Going straight in here. Washoyi is going to be taken down by Hat. Here comes the backstab from Rec. Is it going to be enough, though? Fish like Nina managed to get one apiece. Rec does his job, finds Hat. 3 versus 2 now. 1 minute 15 left to go. SCARZ have got the time. They've got the manpower. Diaz, you had a big clutch earlier. You're going to have to find another big one. 1 versus 3.
And now they know Rhea's on the drone as well. They should be able to swing this at the same time, but Rec off towards the other side collects his man. Not identified soon enough and gets 2 kills for himself in the round. A good team-based quick execute there. I'll give it to them as well. I think realizing and acknowledging, look, if we play this slow, we're going to get held up by these keeper barriers, by the mirrors, by the castle, everything else that's put up in front of us to slow us down and force us to have to play the utility game. So by going quick and just taking some risks along the way. That rappel in, for example, absolute madness. You would never see a team do that unless you're trying to go at some pace. And they do catch OXG off guard. Within 1 round now of sending us to overtime.
I tell you what I do feel like, though.
What?
The rappel in is a little bit of madness, but it's a little bit more SCARZ.
I was just about to say, it's a very Japanese style of play. Absolutely.
It's a little bit more SCARZ, and that tells me that they're starting to play their own game a little bit more. It might be a bit too late here. The damage might already be done, but that is more the sort of round that we would expect to see from SCARZ, where they just create chaos and make it very difficult for the other team to be able to stand up to them, and it worked perfectly. 1 more round, we'll see them get the opportunity of overtime. OXG, a second chance here to lock this one out. They're going to want to close this series down now. They don't want SCARZ continuing to come back at them. They're going to be defending open area. We've got that top floor presence again, as we would expect. Yoga is going to be up there on the castle. We've got Newers bringing the dock along this time. That's something that we haven't seen thus far. Valkyrie, and then, of course, Azami and Goyo. So a slightly different setup to last time, where they had the Warden and a couple of others. This time, they're going to try and hold on to that top floor, and they're a little bit lighter inside of sight.
A reminder for you as well that SCARZ play against VP in the 3rd game tomorrow over on the B stream. I think at this point, as we've already said, playing against VP and then W7M straight after the next day for SCARZ, makes you kind of feel that this is the series they need to get something from if they're going to have any chance of competing with OXG to not be that team going home. Almost for OXG to get the day off tomorrow, and they've got to rest before they come back for their final day on Friday to complete out the group stage. Either way, SCARZ, they've got to do it here and now. They've got 2 minutes stand between them, potentially facing a very, very horrid fate and a very small chance of making it out, or overtime where they can still recover this series. Nina having a good go on this Nook. See it last time round from Rek. Fancy Nina thought, you know what, you got a couple of kills. My time to try and do the same. Yellow pin coming on through. They know where the player is, but can they find this Valkyrie? Yes, but Hat finds him first. They had the right idea. They had the info, and Hat still finds what he needs. Traded out shortly after by Rek, so it's not the end of the world. You still lost one of your players.
Yeah, the damage may well be done. We will see 4 versus 4. OXG are just going to want to grind them down a kill at a time. Yoga is still established upstairs. Newers is going to find his way back into sight here. We can see that SCARZ have taken control of that Tellers area, but they need to be careful because they've got that castle up above. He's likely to have the shorty secondary, so he's going to be able to open up some verticals. He's kind of thinking, does he go down? Does he challenge them from underneath? He needs to be aware that Tayo is going to be challenging from up above. Diaz manages to find Washoy. They need to find answers. They haven't got them, but they are lucky that it's the UMP in Yoga's hands.
Doesn't quite get the finish eye, puts him low, but Tayo is still standing and has got a gun pointing back the other way. Sees the head but doesn't pull the trigger. Finally gets down by that UMP, and things are going from bad to worse for SCARZ. They managed to get Rek up, but now Tayo's on the deck and Fishlike has got it all to do. It's almost a little bit symbolic, Tim, here of how this tournament has gone. Fishlike has had an incredible tournament, played really, really well, but sadly the odds against him on the other side are just too much to face off against. 4 OXG players and 20 seconds remaining. This one looks done.
Yeah, he's going to go and pick his man up, and I think it's a good choice. He needs the diffuser as well. Get him back onto 20 HP. You've got something to work with, but with 15 seconds, you're really asking an awful lot here. They're just going to have to drop down and try and find some kills, and speed almost never equaled success in Siege. Drops into sight exactly as expected. It's as easy as that. Kiss, kiss, bang, bang for Newers. Manages to get the double as they drop, and that is going to close things out. 2-0 for OXG.
The expected outcome, and for a second there on Bank, you thought SCARZ might start finding a way back in. And Tim, the same message came in that we've been saying throughout the series. They look better than yesterday, but not good enough to overcome their competitors for that 5th place going home spot. We'll see how they can do over the next couple of days. OXG get a nice day of rest. And that's the week, Tim. We'll see you guys tomorrow. For now, we'll go to a break. When we come back, the desk will break it down for you.